here, and the way of the Bucketlord has been reaffirmed. I'm not exactly sure that's the right quote, but thank you so much for tuning in. And today I decided to share with all of you my absolute favorite Lords of the Fallen PvP and PvE build to date. And it all revolves around following the Bucketlord's teachings and ascending into godhood, which I think we've been able to accomplish with the setup that we're going to be running today. So, no nonsense, no fluff. Let's get right into the build and talk about what items we're using and why we're using them. Now, obviously, we are running the Gilded Bucket. If you do not have these, short and simple, you have to complete a quest line revolving around the Bucketlord himself. If you don't know how to get these or haven't gotten them yet, I highly recommend just doing a quick YouTube search as to how to get the Bucketlord questline started. It all starts in the Sanctuary, and you have to collect an item called the Pride of the Bucketlord and turn in 4 of them at a time to the Bucketlord himself. You cannot turn in 5 or 6, what have you. It has to be exactly 4. And luckily enough, if you do have some progress in your current playthrough, like you've beaten some of the initial mini bosses, you can come back and collect that item. It won't lock you out, so that is a good thing. Now, once you've taken care of that and have obtained the Gilded Bucket, or if you already have it, the reason why we're running this weapon is for 3 reasons. Number 1, I mean, come on, dude. It's gold-plated buckets. That's fucking awesome. Number 2, this is the only weapon in the game that has strength and agility at an S tier attribute scaling. Only weapon that has 2 S tier stats. That maximizes our attack power, that number at the bottom left, and we can get pretty much exactly 437 damage on a raw even kill stat line. And that's also not including some of the other damage sources and whatnot. But basically, S tier equals good. Ignore my rambling. And the third reasoning. This is also the only weapon in the game that allows us to apply 3 different status effects at the same time. Every time we R1 and R2, basic and heavy attack, or light and heavy. So this is massive. We need to take advantage of that. We need to take advantage of the fact that we have 2 S tier stats and 3 status effects being applied. When I first came across the next item, it's exactly what I was thinking about, because I've tried that before in other Souls games and it's worked pretty well. And the item that I'm referring to is actually our necklace, the Pennon and Burden. Now this item, I can tell you, you can obtain it in the Fen area of the game, Swamp area. If you progress naturally and try to do all the little side areas of that area, you will eventually come across this item. It's at the end of a long corridor that you get to when you go up like a little ladder, and it's at the end of that corridor in a chest. Like, that entire area is dedicated to you looting this item. And this necklace is by far the most underrated, underappreciated necklace in the game, in my opinion, and it allows us to deal additional damage for every status effect inflicted upon an enemy. Now, it's very important to know that there are 2 differentiations in Lords of the Fallen. There are damage types and then status effects. Those are 2 different damage categories. And when it comes to status effect, we're referring to these 6 categories here, as you can see, right under strength and agility. Radiance is the first, bleed, then it's burn, frostbite, ignite, and poison. So there's 6 different status effects in the game. I'm not entirely sure as to whether Wither could qualify as a status effect, but I believe it's not. I think it's just a damage type. But essentially, we can deal additional damage for every status effect. So from some research in terms of looking up more information about the game, I stumbled across a video by a guy named Pastor Gaines Games, where I was just trying to learn what all the runes were in this game after my first playthrough. And the PC game, or the PC version of the game, actually gives you numeric numbers attached to whatever the buff is. So here on the PS5 version of the game, it says just deal additional damage. The PC version will actually have in parentheses like 10% or 10% increase, right? So my assumption is that for every status effect that we apply, because 9 times out of 10, the status increase or the damage increase of a modifier in this game, it's usually 10%. So I believe that for every status effect, we get 10% additional damage. So obviously, if for every status effect we're getting that much, it's additive. So we can just stack that up. Now, I've tried different ways of being able to accomplish this with just the Gilded Buckets. The most we can get is five different status effects. And we accomplish that by getting and using the Bloodbane Ring. The Bloodbane Ring is also located in the Forsaken Fen, and it's near the vestige of the Pale Butcher in the Suja Hamlet area. Just head toward the swamp area and look for the wooden branch structure under like a stone archway, and then I believe like breaking the structure reveals a ring. So that was straight from Google, by the way. This ring is awesome, and basically it's allowing us to apply 2 different status effects for the price of 1. And in order for this ring to work, we have to have Poison Weapon, which is an umbral spell. I forget where you actually get Poison Weapon, but a quick YouTube search can fix that. And obviously, as we are applying poison, we inflict bleed buildup as well. Now, poison is going to be the effect you stack the most, just because innately it's imbued into your weapon. And I could be wrong here, but I do believe it stacks with attack or spell power. So that's great. Because of this ring, we're able to get 5 different status effects. And now this build is coming together because we are getting a massive damage increase from our necklace and our Gilded Buckets, which is a super fast, capable weapon with S tier strength and agility. We're getting a lot of damage at basically little cost. Like, all we have to run here is 1 weapon, a necklace, and a ring, and boom, we've accomplished the big damage increase. But we can take this up to God tier, and I'll get into how we do that. Now, this next ring is optional. You can choose to run the Charred Root. That's personally what I'm running, because I had initially used the Unblinking Root, which this is a ring. They do the same thing, but for different spell schools. Unblinking Root allows us to cast Umbral sorceries with a non-Umbral catalyst, and the Charred Root, which this is an item that you get from having the Remembrance of the Spurned Progeny. It's the endgame boss in Lower Calrath. This allows us to cast Inferno with a non-Inferno catalyst. Now, the reason why I changed from Unblinking Root to the Charred Root is because of the catalyst itself. I was initially running Rogar Heart, which has 5 spell slots, Inferno at A+, and it's a pretty good catalyst. We want 5 spell slots, without question. But obviously, if you take a look at the Los Bariscu's catalyst, it's better, just inherently better. You have Radiance at an A and Inferno at an A. And the more stat lines that we can increase, the better. So on top of that, we also have 894 spell power from running this catalyst on top of 5 spell slots. Rogar Heart is only 678, I believe, or yeah, around there. Night and day. It's almost like, you know, close to 200 plus damage, additional spell power. So that's why we run the Lost Barisco Catalyst. So you can run the Charred Root, or if you can't, you can run Unblinking Root and use an Inferno Catalyst. You know, it's up to you, whatever you can run. Now, the reason why we're running that is because we are a melee-based build, and we want to run the Adyr's Shout Trinity. This Shout Trinity consists of Adyr's Endurance, Adyr's Rage, and Adyr's Hardiness. Obviously, we're running Poison Weapon for this build to work, and the 5th spell is a flyer. You can choose whatever you want here, whatever your flavor is. I'm choosing to use Seismic Slam because I think this is the best gap closer in the game, and it helps break the monotony within a PvP run or a PvP fight. If someone is running away, let's say you got them really low and they're running away from you, you can just hit them with this and they'll get knocked back and you can close the gap. Now, for the shouts, why are we running the shouts we're running? We're running Adyr's Endurance because, being somebody that is going to be hitting constantly, we want as much stamina as possible and stamina regen. Now, as I was showing there, take a look at my stamina bar here. I'm going to deplete it. Let's say we're in a massive battle and I go for a rollback to look at how long it takes for that stamina to regen. I could possibly be getting hit and I lose my upper hand. If we run Adyr's Endurance, let's say I roll, we get our stamina pretty much instantaneously back. So this one's massive for me, personally. Adyr's Rage, this increases all of our damage types. Since we're applying so many different status effects, this increases our damage just overall. So more damage equals good. You want to run Adyr's Rage. Poison Weapon, we need it. And Adyr's Hardiness. Innately, we are squishy with this build. We're not running a shield. But you want it in PvP, especially for Lord of the Fallen current PvP like environment, if you will. There's a lot of people that are max level, like pre-nerf max level. I'm not talking level 541. I'm talking like they're in the 15,000s. Like, so if you ever get into a PvP match and you have somebody like 2-tap you, you're most likely running into somebody that has one of those characters. Now, you may look at me and say, dude, you're max level. Obviously, you hit hard. I was running this build when I was just level 200, and even then, facing some of these crazy max level peeps, I still was running a really good kill-death ratio. On a conservative estimate, I would say it'd be like 5-6 to 1. I had a friend give me a bunch of skulls, and I was able to basically get all of my stats up because I was curious, like, would I actually be doing like that much more damage? No. PvP scaling in this game actually works for anyone that is below the level 541 category. So if you're under that 541 or below, it tends to work. It's still kind of finicky and unreliable, but it does work. So that's that. And obviously we've gone over pretty much everything with this build. From when it comes down to armor, I'm going for something that is just personal preference. I'm trying to stay in the light encumbrance. You don't have to. Medium is like the requirement. Don't go into heavy because you want to at least have the good rolls, but light feels really good with this build, and we have like the rolls just feel like way better, and we have more distance. And sometimes in a PvP fight, especially if it's kind of close and you're going up against somebody good, you want to get those light rolls so you can create distance, maybe get behind something, and your shouts may run out, so it'll give you an opportunity to reapply everything and go back into it. But it's really up to you. I just got General Engstrom's armor set because I beat him recently, so I'm rocking that, and I swapped to the Lords of the Veil Gauntlets because I wanted to get in that light encumbrance area. Now, for runes, this is what I'm running. The Gilded Buckets are considered a two-handed weapon, so that is something to keep in mind. The DubMCz rune will not work because this only works if you have two weapons in both slots and you're actually dual wielding them. Since you're only running one, the Gilded Bucket is considered a two-handed weapon. I can demonstrate that by checking this out. So this is the Gilded Bucket naturally, how it looks. It's just automatically equipped as a dual wield weapon. Watch when I equipped a sword. See how my default stance is two-handed? That there proves it. The default stance for any weapon will be two-handed unless you tap Y and go one-handed. So same thing works for the Gilded Buckets. I know it's counterintuitive, but trust me. So because of that, we're running two Gravix runes. Increased physical damage while two-handing. This will be amplified by all the different buffs where we are applying with our spell power, etc. And on top of the Gravix rune, we're running Balago. That reduces a struck enemy's physical defense. Since there's a lot of people in this game that run the Adyr Shout Trinity and are typically running Adyr's Hardiness, that rune is there to kind of counteract that buff from Adyr's Hardiness. So we can kind of penetrate that defense. And in terms of other options for runes, you can really get creative here. I've personally run the Adyrix, like triple Adyrix rune setup to like really get poison on people, and that is definitely an option that is fun and works. You can run maybe a Vixis rune on top of that to kind of make your bleed buildup that's getting secondarily applied because of your poison buildup to even it out a little bit. You could run that. You could also run the Sabina rune, which if you had 3 of these, since the Gilded Buckets are a fast-hitting light weapon that you even have your running R1, that is probably the best move of this weapon archetype. If you land all of those hits on an enemy, that's like 4 to 6 different hits, and you'll get, with the Sabina rune, 4 to 6 different health procs, you know, where you're getting just a little bit of health for every time you hit them. So that is definitely something to consider, and there's pretty much a lot of different things you can try out. Do whatever you want. It's a game, just have fun. On top of that, there's also the Sean rune that you only get 1 of per run, and I don't have that equipped, but that could be something you consider as well. Here it is. The Sean rune increases elemental damage, so that could be something you try out as well. Now, for tryhards, something else that you could also run is you could run a shield in the secondary slot here. And in terms of shields that I personally run, because I just tried this out a couple days ago, and I definitely like it. I just don't always run it. It just depends on who I'm facing. For this rune setup, I like to run the Crafter's Essence. Oh, this is the wrong shield. Excuse me. I run the Crafter's Essence, which is basically the rune you get if you give the last rune tablet to Gerlinda. This removes the weight requirement, so we can still stay in the light encumbrance area. And then I take the Relogs for increased poise, and Ornks for increased resistance to stagger effects. Because one thing that you will find yourself susceptible to, since you are dual wielding and constantly trying to hit the enemy, is if they do go for blocks and they do go for parries, you can find yourself in basically a full stagger situation where they can visceral attack you, and if they're high level, that usually means you're dead. It'll be GG. So that's why I run those runes, but you can do whatever you want with the runes on your shield as well. Something I highly recommend is maybe going for the triple Tamul rune setup, which is this rune right here, which gives a small amount of health regen. If you're running 3 at the same time, you get a little bit of health basically passively regenerated throughout the entire match. So that's something you can consider as well. But that's the build in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you look forward to trying it out for yourself. I've definitely had a lot of fun and a lot of successes with this build, so I hope that translates over to you guys. And if you're interested in seeing this build in an actual PvP scenario, I'm going to be posting an additional video where I actually do invasions with this setup, so you can take a look at the build in action. But trust me when I say you'll have a great time with this build once you figure it out. And that's pretty much all she wrote, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy. And if you have any suggestions, comments, other builds you've tried out, other variations of this build maybe that you like and are willing to share it with me, leave a comment down below. And if you got something from this, I hope I've earned a like from you as well. So until the next time, take care, Bucket Lords. Catch you in the next one. Peace.